Oh, got 'em.
I got three. I didn't reprint it, I
Brian,
just put another.
Brian,
little
did you get
comment.
that email that I sent as far as the access? Have you
And then
seen
I
it
think there's
before,
something,
or-
other police
No,
reports
okay.
in your box.
Good information.
I was up here like an hour ago, so.
Yeah.
Do you want me to wear my mask?
No.
Thank you.
I just made mine until after we did the pledge. Excuse me.
I do.
Too many, there's too many Ps and
50% of the time.
Okay, we're live on YouTube, everybody. And I'm going to start recording as well. The first thing we need to do tonight is open the public hearing.
Don't we want to do pledge first?
Well, do you want to reverse this then? Because,
Doesn't matter, you got it that way.
okay.
Agenda, so.
I was going to hold the public hearing and then we'll start the meeting.
That's fine.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. So this is technically a public hearing on the preliminary budget for 2022. Any comments? I haven't received any emails. Does anybody? All right,
The only thing I had heard was, where was this posted? Where was the actual copy posted?
website,
It was on the website, just the website, or were there other copies?
Madeline had copies.
Okay,
All right, could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you very much. I would like to call this meeting to order and ask you to stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sure, this is up. I would also like to take, have a moment of silence, please, for the Pariseau family. Okay, thank you. I will miss seeing him at town hall. Approval of the minutes and the town clerk report.
I
have approval of the September clerk's report and have approval of the September 13th workshop minutes, the September 16th town board minutes, and the October 4th special meeting minutes.
wasn't at one of those meetings, so I can't.
Oh, okay.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great.
Did we, the minutes and the.
The town clerk's
And the town clerk's report. Yeah. Building permits are. I love that number. Oh, there, wait, did I lose Drew? Where is he? Oh, no, he's just off. Okay. I was just commenting on the building permit number. Great.
Yeah, I think things have been good.
Yeah, rah. Okay. Approval of the bills, please.
I have general bill number 1876 through 18788, highway bills number 18789 through 18807 and 18809. I have water bills 3070 through 3073. And I also have two bills that were submitted today. One is for the Quality Environment Solution Technologies, and the Poughkeepsie Journal invoice. I'm not sure if you guys want to approve those today or wait till next month. The bookkeeper wanted me to ask the board.
What is the first one?
That's the Quest, the
Oh.
they resubmitted their bill.
I'd like to see that
I
one.
want to see it.
That you
But I
should
don't-
see it.
Yeah, but I don't have any problem with the journal.
Okay,
Paying the
so
journal.
we'll pay the journal and then you should look at the, yeah.
Right.
I move that we pay those bills.
So,
All right,
Aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
Supervisor statement. This month I began my tenure on the Dutchess County Housing Committee, which is looking into the entire scope of affordable housing from the history of it here to where we all are now and what we can do about it. I have to say, of all the committees I've been asked to be a part of by the county executive, this one's being run by a truly crackerjack bunch of planners and housing experts, and includes people from all walks of housing services, M&T Bank, Kirchhoff Builders. The expertise is amazing. I'm also on the Community Development Access Committee, which reviews all the grants submitted by towns and organizations to the county. We have spent about 6 hours in Zoom meetings this past month and many more on our own, reading grants and commenting on them for recommendation to the county executive. Again, this committee is comprised of some incredible people working in the county to help the homeless, the mentally ill, and numerous other aid organizations, as well as municipal leaders and philanthropists. All of this work is teaching me how better to think about grants and grant writing, and it has been invaluable to introducing me both to all the opportunities on our doorstep, which are out there, but also how to write the kind of grants they want to fund. We passed the tentative budget in early October and are presenting the preliminary budget tonight. Once that is passed, the budget can only be changed downward, meaning less money spent, not upward. We did not exceed the tax cap again this year. I usually write a long statement for the November meeting, thanking key people in town for going beyond the call of duty for everyone here. And I will do that. But this month, due to the tragedy for the Paraso family, I do want to mention the folks who helped that night of their own free accord. The Nuccios who opened the Moose and made sandwiches for the firefighters. The other Nuccios who lived next door and comforted people who were involved. Richard Stewart's who sent water and food to the site. Dougie Weaver, who supplied and drove critical equipment at the scene. In addition, neighbor Richard and Officer Mark Parada reached the scene very quickly alongside the Pine Plains Fire Department, and everyone worked throughout the night. Our entire police department stayed late. It was a deeply sad event and a terrible loss for everyone involved, as well as all of us who know the family. But there is good news. With the help of Greg Pulver, we located a machine to bring the new fountain down to the renovated town park, and it is installed. Tim Jones donated the fountain to the town in honor of our long history of farming, and it's made of old watering troughs. The pergola arrives in kit form, hopefully this week, and we await permissions from the DOT and a few other slow to arrive items to complete the whole thing. I have seen lots of people already sitting beside the fountain to hear the sound of water and watch it cascade. The ear tags that are a part of the sculpture are rather poignant, I think. So my last thank you tonight goes to all those involved in making this happen. Tim Jones, our town beautification committee, Sue Robinson and her crew at Down to Earth, Kyle Lougheed and his crew at Ganocchio Electric, Prospect Hill Farmstead, and Edward Kinzer Jr., whose legacy to the town, because he loved it here, provided the funds for a really beautiful spot. When I went to see it on Wednesday, 2 bald eagles were circling directly overhead. All right, Warren, hi. Do you want to talk
Public
about?
comments.
Oh, public comment. Thank you. I always,
So one comment that I heard is about placing of signage down at the ball fields. One of the homeowners, it's right at the end of their driveway, and they don't think that it is the right spot for a sign. So if you guys could all take a look at that. And the second one was the item 4 in the paths of the park. I guess a woman got a stroller stuck and someone had to come and like help pick it up and get it out. So I don't know if the item 4 is actually going to work with snow removal as well. So
we won't be removing the snow, they were just gonna let it
Okay,
cover, but,
that was
Good to know.
in their
Okay.
email, so I
Okay.
just figured I would put it out there.
item. Okay. All right. Any others? Okay,
I'd just like to say publicly, thank you to those people who reach out to me after the last meeting. They have researched the videos and they gave me some places to look. So thank you, whoever it was that did reach out to me. March 18th, by the way, which happens to be my birthday
oh.
and the day I got hearing aids. So I didn't miss what I was listening to, and it's not time to put me away.
Are you talking about the ARPA?
Yes,
Okay, because I have further information on that. I actually researched it myself.
okay.
All right.
We probably didn't come to the same conclusion.
Well, the problem was there's so much confusion about it
Yes.
at every level.
Right.
So let's see. Now, Warren.
Okay, the only thing I really want to discuss with you very briefly is a full environmental assessment form that we received from BJ Planner, which is their environmental review of the proposed zoning changes that were recommended by the zoning review committee. Basically, their map changes. This is different from what we have already done on the text changes. The proposed map changes include the remapping of a portion of the Hamlet residential district to the Hamlet Center residential district, the HCR, slightly expanding the Hamlet Business HBUS district, creating a new light industrial district and a small expansion of the HMS district to portions of 2 parcels to better reflect their existing uses. These are our outgrowth of the recommendations of our zoning review committee. I have a report of the FJ planner. We're not ready to commence the environmental review tonight because I have to now take this documentation and put it into local law format as we did with the text changes. I should have that to you by the November meeting. And also a resolution for you to commence the local law adoption process and the environmental review process at that time.
Do we have to do a public hearing then, or do we do it in
We will be
December?
we'll be passing a resolution at the November meeting, which will then set the public hearing on the proposed changes.
So
It's going to
that,
be a little bit more complicated than the last changes because they involve changes to actual zoning districts. And we're going to have to notify all the property owners who are affected by this. So we'll have to figure out logistically how that's going to be done. But I'll be working on this and I'll get this to you prior to the meeting. Lead you through it at the November meeting.
At what point do we notify the property owners?
Hmm?
At what point do we formally?
When we set it down for a public hearing, we're going to have to figure out how we notify each property owner that's affected by the zoning change. So I'll work that out with BFJ planners. That's the only, the other thing I sent on to you is a rescission of the age covenants and restrictions for the Stising Farm condominium project. If you might recall, many years ago when this was first approved, there were restrictions placed upon that project, age restrictions that have since been terminated over the years by the planning board. In order for them to move forward with their project, and I'm assuming to get approval from the Attorney General for their offering plan, they're asking us, the town, to formally agree to rescind those restrictions. The planning board voted upon it at their last meeting. I recommend that you also vote tonight to allow Dara to sign the rescission of the age covenants for Stising Farms. Did you all get a copy of that? I sent that on to you.
I saw it, so yes. Well, I think it's a good thing because it allows younger people to come in as well. And because
Oh,
what was it? It was like 65,
It's-
right?
it's a
Like when they
movement.
originally did it,
Yeah,
60, yeah.
restrictions were placed, as part of the environmental review of the initial project. And it turned out to be unfeasible for the project developers. And over the years, the planning board had lessened those restrictions. Now it's converted to just a normal condominium development plan. But in order for them to get the approval of the Attorney General's office for their offering plan, I'm assuming they need a rescission of these restrictions. So all I need from you, the planning board voted to allow it, recommended to the town board that you sign it. And if we could just take a vote.
This wasn't done when they abandoned their original condominium?
Well, it was done over the years by the planning board in
But they
drips
never,
and drabs, but they want an actual rescission document
I'll
that they
make,
can produce to the Attorney General.
I'll make the motion to
I'll second-
rescind.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And when you get a
And-
chance,
and that's
you just
for
want to sign
Garrett
that and
to be
send it
able
on
to
me.
sign it.
I'll
Okay.
get it on to them. There are a couple of other matters. There was one issue with regard to a culvert, which I don't know if you're going to discuss tonight. We can possibly discuss that, or we can do that in executive session. And there's another issue with regard to the Hicks Hill Road stabilization agreement, which I thought we would take that into executive session.
Okay. I'm just gonna write that down. Great. Thanks, Warren. All right. Department reports, highway?
My report is very brief. I'd like to let you know that I'm pleased to report that all of our road improvement projects for the year have been completed. I will be submitting for our CHIPS reimbursement paperwork next month, which should put us right in line for the December payment. With my preliminary numbers, it looks like we have used all but about we will have used all but about $10,000 of the CHIPS funds. So we definitely made good use of that funding. Other than that, the crew has been very busy servicing, repairing, and preparing the equipment for our annual state inspections, as well as the upcoming snow removal season. We can, you feel that that's appropriate to discuss the culvert now or executive session?
Let's do it in executive session, if you don't mind, if that's okay.
That's all I have to report. unless anyone has
Heather,
anything
does
else.
that 10,000 still roll over?
That, as far as I know, it should roll over. Yes, I haven't heard anything about the forfeiture. So if it goes as it does every year, it should roll over to next year.
But last month we had a little bit of discussion about the purchase of a large piece of equipment.
Yes.
You were gonna look into, have you found anything out about
Well, I've contacted the dealer and unfortunately they are very busy right now.
that?
He is going to get back to me within the next couple of weeks. The only other thing that he told me is definitely if the order were placed now, the build out for next year, the calendar is completely closed.
Oh, yeah, no.
So as soon as I get that, I will forward it on definitely.
Okay.
But I have been in touch with the dealer that we
Great.
usually use. If I don't hear back from him, I believe we can go to other dealers. So I can explore that as well, just to get us some kind of an idea of what we're looking at for money value.
Okay.
Okay.
And that CHIPS fund, the CHIPS money isn't any good for that like it was for the loader?
Absolutely. You can use it for equipment, anything with the equipment life greater than, well, it goes by the piece of
Right.
equipment. But our dump trucks we keep for a long time, so that can definitely be used towards that.
But could we
That'd be great.
encumber that money in any way now? With only if we had an order in, probably.
Right, I believe
Right.
so. At the time that you have to pay for it at the time of delivery, correct?
Hmm.
So in order to get any kind of reimbursement back from CHIPS, you have to proof of payment that needs to be cashed first. So if we have plans to, depending on
Okay.
what the road
Right.
projects are for next year, if we're not using it all, we can
Understand.
certainly look into putting that aside for part of the truck purchase. Mhm.
Did you not want us, you wanted a roller
Just
or,
wait for-
yeah, sweeper,
Right. Mhm.
and that doesn't count for the tip.
I don't know if that's an eligible piece of equipment and we wouldn't have proof of payment back
Yeah,
before
got
it's.
I know how it is, yeah.
Yeah, but we're not going to be giving up that $10,000. It will be available next year. for
Okay.
use.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Drew, you're on.
Evening, everyone. My report for September of 21 is 11 building permits were issued. Total building permits for the year to date is 70. That makes 13 new homes for the year to date. 9 certificate of occupancies were issued in September. Oh, I'm sorry, 8 certificate occupancies, 3 certificate of occupancy searches, 19 inspections were done. So if you look at my statistics at the bottom, again, reminding you that there were 10 condo permits issued for Stising Farms. We're pretty much in line with what we were doing last year in terms of the number of permits.
Great.
The other exciting news, at least for me, this past month, I finally finished up one of my last property maintenance issues in town. We had a property that the lawn never got mowed, and it was a lot of promises and a lot of broken promises, but finally that's been taken care of. We do have a property maintenance issue on Hicks Hill, which I'm working with the town prosecutor on. And so hopefully we can get that, some kind of resolution to that.
Wonderful. Can we talk about the assessor's office? You went in and took a look at it?
Yes, the assessors in my evaluation, I think, it is what it is. It's not a well-constructed piece. And I think the window has leaked a long time ago. Someone noticed it and has sealed it up.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of rot damage from that leak that took place years ago. So I checked around carefully with the tissue looking for moisture and stuff, and everything appears to be dry. So my recommendation for now is we can, there is a little mold there. We could use some bleach, clean it up, probably re-glue the tile floor back down. And I think if we get any severe rains or anything, I'll just keep an eye on it in terms of leakage.
Okay. All right.
But I don't
great.
think there's any immediate danger.
Okay. Nobody's going to get sick from mold.
No one's going to get sick. I mean,
Okay.
it's a long-term problem, and it's one that you're working on with the town hall solution. But for now, it's serving its purpose.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. And you're going to stick around for executive session. I think we needed you for, oh, do we need him for executive session? No, we don't. Okay.
Okay,
See ya.
thank you.
Oh, actually, Drew, my
Wait.
apologies, Drew, this is Ray, not on camera, but tomorrow I have a pre-construction meeting at Stising Farms at 9:30. Primarily to go over site work items, but I wasn't sure if there's anything that you would like for me to discuss with the contractor while I'm there.
I don't think so.
Okay,
I think I'm all set on that project.
okay, all right, very good. I did ask them for a schedule, so hopefully I'll get that, and if I do, by all means, I'll pass that along.
Okay, if I come up with anything, I'll contact you in the morning.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, Ray.
Absolutely, thanks.
Good night.
Good night.
All right. Police department.
We had 10 hours of court, 151.5 of patrol, 2 hours of discovery, 18 hours of admin, 4 hours of investigation, 17 hours of details, 11 hours of vehicle other. We had 17 complaints, 4 fire and EMS, 30 traffic warnings, 29 UTTs issued, 1 parking warning, 1 arrest. We had 33 scheduled patrols, in which we had 1 over. We had 34. Myself, officers Camber and Parada provided traffic control for the Stanford 9/11 ceremony. I provided security / traffic control for Pine Plains Highway for the removal of beaver deterrent. And I attended a meeting of the Dutchess Chiefs Association.
John, can you talk a little bit about the stuff that you've been dealing with this month?
We've had a few calls that are definitely out of the ordinary. We had a tractor trailer crash on our border and northeast border that took about 5 or 6 hours to clean up. A bunch of cars flew off the tractor. It went into the stream and was leaking fluids. We had another big gathering of about 40 people that turned into a fight where an arrest was made. What else was there?
And you did some training. You did the 5 hours in Dutchess.
Sergeant Bellevue and myself took training at Dutch Community College for sergeants and above to how to interact with your subordinates during this time of policing, you know, a different aspect on how to look at how to speak and talk to your subordinates as different than you would have in the past.
Great.
Anyone else? And we had the fire, which was pretty traumatic, and I'd like to recognize, along with that training we went to, you're supposed to recognize your subordinates for a job well done, which I would like to recognize the Pine Plains Fire Department and I think 8 other departments that assisted in battling that explosion / fire. That's about it.
Great, thank you. We got a notice from the county that our CIT training shared service is going to be up at the end of this year, and would you like to keep it going?
I think it's a good idea to.
So this is just a document I have to sign. It's a contract with the county to share the service so they can get, and it's, what's CIT? It's crisis intervention training,
I fully support that, and I would move that we continue that.
I'll second that if we need to vote on it.
I think we do,
all
yeah,
right, I'll
just,
second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so I'll sign that. Sign. Thank you. All right, thanks, John. Ray?
Monthly report for Pine Plains Water Improvement Area. The water usage was steady during the latter part of September and early October at 54,000 gallons per day. However, the past 3 days, it's jumped up by approximately 10,000 gallons. So it appears as though there's a leak obviously somewhere in the system. That could be as small as a 1/4-inch hole in a service line or something like that. So I'm going to start providing for a leak detection survey tomorrow afternoon. I'll start, and then I'm going to continue over the weekend and hopefully find it and make the repair. But until then, in case anybody happens to see any wet spots or water bubbles on the ground, by all means, let me know. Don't get too alarmed.
It's the fountain.
It's a fountain.
That's where I'm starting. Water meter maintenance, 2 water meters were rebuilt this past period, and 6 meter heads were replaced after the last meter readings that were taken. So I did order, and I received a dozen, or my apologies, 2 dozen new meter heads, and that invoice was submitted for payment to the town board. Utility markouts 5 for the past month, including the location of the existing water main along Beach Road. So there's a vacant lot that's located on Beach Road across from the basketball courts. And so that was recently sold, and they're interested in putting a new house there. So we may get a new customer. So I'll reach out to them and coordinate.
Did I give you the number yet?
I didn't want to say that, but since you brought it up.
Yes, I got it. I have it. I'll give it to you. Sorry.
Yeah, just to coordinate that installation. That's on an old 2.5-inch galvanized line. So that's, again, probably the last galvanized line in the town, and that extends from Fabrilla Lane through the open field and goes down to the end of Beach, just as you start making the turn towards the rec fields, the rec park.
Okay.
So yeah, again, we'll coordinate that new installation with them. As far as repairs, the only repairs was the disconnection of the water service to 12 North Main. That was officially, we had shut off the water previously prior to the work being done, but we actually went out towards the roadway and terminated that service and dead ended it. So that way, again, during building demolition, they don't have to worry about any issues there. Hydrant maintenance. Hydrant maintenance was performed on 10 fire hydrants along Pine and Farview Avenue, and that included the installation of the new hydrant markers. So those are all the spring-loaded ones to replace the old rigid steel ones that constantly are getting bent over. So I did order a dozen new markers. once I receive them, we'll continue to replace those as well. Third quarter meter readings were taken at the end of September, and the bills were sent out beginning of October. That's the report for the Pond County Board.
Any questions?
Engineering wise. So I did put together a budgetary estimate for the replacement of the main along Route 82 South that would extend all the way from the intersection of 199 down to Railroad Avenue in its entirety. And the entire price of that project came in at about 1.5 million is the estimated budget for that. Keep in mind, by all means, we can break that up into smaller segments if need be. Probably the most important would be the first segment. This takes us from 199 down to at least Smith Street. That would take on the community center, and that would provide better fire flow protection, again, towards the center of town. We have good fire flow protection from Farview Avenue to the center of town on 199, and this would help extend that along the south part of 82 as well. So to get that first segment done would be in the area of about 600,000 is what our estimate is. So again, I'll provide a better breakdown for the town board. My apologies, I do have it, but I forgot to bring it tonight. But I'll email it, and that way the town board can take a look at it and see whether we can proceed in a smaller segment. Okay. For 12 and 8 North Main, I reached out and received copies of the final sign-offs from Quest Environmental. So again, the fact that all the asbestos abatement has been done for the state regulations, that's been submitted to the state, and a copy has been provided to the contractor. I've also requested a schedule from the contractor of when they're going to come back to actually demo the building. So as of yet, I have not heard from them, but once I do, I'll pass that information on to the town board as well. Highway garage drainage, if you recall, the project was bid out last month. It came in over budget, and we only had one bid on that project, so we put it out for a rebid. We just had the pre-bid meeting for that this past week. We had 2 contractors come onto the site very interested in bidding on it. So the bids are due next Friday. So we hope that we'll get more competitive bids as far as that goes. I have actually heard today from a third contractor that is interested.
Oh, great, great.
And so again, we hope that he will pick up and provide a bid as well. And as I mentioned, with Drew, that tomorrow I have a pre-construction meeting regarding Stising Farms on site with the site contractor and developer. That's going to be at 9:30. And so we're going to go over the site plan requirements, scheduling, phasing of the project. Once I receive a schedule, I'll submit that to the board just for information, but then obviously I'll get that over to Drew as well. All right. They will include obviously a new water-related project or water-related item. They will require meters, obviously, for each one of those new buildings. So I placed an order for new meters, 12 new meters. So again, I expect that those will come in, and I'll submit that bill as well. The nice thing with new installations is that although we pay for them initially, as far as purchasing them, the property owner, once they're installed, the property owner has to reimburse the water district as far as that cost. So again, as they're installed, we will get reimbursed for the cost of those meters. And along the lines of 12 and 8, a brief discussion, again, kind of going along what Drew had indicated as far as issues with the assessor's office. There's consideration, at least conceptually, of perhaps meeting and discussing thoughts for the use of that property for town hall and a layout for that property. Again, even on concept, so at least the town board can get an understanding of costs and then start looking into funding. So if the board is interested, I can engage one of the architects within our office to meet with the town board and maybe perhaps some of the departments as well, and start looking at that process and starting that process now that we're going into the winter months. It'd be a nice time to start that.
I like that idea.
I think it's a great idea. I think
I love dreaming about
some
this thing.
planning would be excellent.
Will help people visualize it too. Right now, they're
Yes.
looking at just 2 like if people could get a, what it. of what it will look like, I think that maybe the people who are like holding out might be like, wow, great,
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. And it'd be nice, that if the town, if we get to that point, then it'd be nice to perhaps even get a sign out at those locations once
I think that's a great idea.
once
Yeah.
the buildings are down, that
Future home of.
potential future home of, exactly, with a photo or something of that nature or a picture. So, yeah, I'll get together with one of the architects and I'll reach out to the supervisor and we'll see what times and dates work for the board. And then we'll also, after that, we'll start thinking about engaging some of the staff members as far as the department staff to get some of their needs, because obviously
Exactly.
it'll be a needs assessment of what they are currently doing, what they think their future needs, so we can implement that into the plan as well.
Cool.
Okay.
Especially the court
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
and the whole issue of whether you duplicate the meeting space with the court, which some town halls do,
Correct.
and just what their needs are, because they've their needs have not been met for a very long
Long
time.
time.
And they're not
Will be welcome.
ADA accessible either. It's like
There are lots
terrible.
of problems, but they're managing incredibly well,
Yeah.
so it's remarkable.
And I'm assuming as part of this, that and again, we can have this discussion later, but I'm assuming the police department would be moving into
Yes.
as well.
Oh, yes,
All the
definitely.
departments.
Nothing will remain here.
And a history
That's great.
room.
Yeah.
Nothing will remain
So,
here.
yeah, I'll get that. I'll get that
Yes, no,
process started
absolutely.
and, we'll start
Great.
getting together on that.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you, Ray.
Great.
That's the fun part.
Oh, yeah.
That just made my night right there, Ray.
That's it for engineering on my end, except for that drainage issue, which will, and the slope stability issue, which we'll
Great.
talk about in a second.
Okay. Recreation, Michael.
All right. So I guess right here on the agenda, we have the reappropriation of firework funds to playground fund. I got really busy and in that short window, I wasn't able to make the fireworks show happen. I believe the approval for that was conditional. So I mean, I don't know necessarily legally how that works, if you have to make a motion to then move it, or if that money is still sitting in my budget. And then also the playground fundraising plan. As you guys are all aware, we received a grant for $70,000 for the playground. And we're in the process of raising funds for that. I was hoping that any money that I have at the end of the year from our unexpended fund balance for recreation could go towards that. I also want to note that, this year, in terms of our expenses, because I just was looking at different sources in terms of how much of the budget we haven't spent. But my anticipated revenue for this year was 46,000, and currently my year-to-date revenue is 62,000. So that's a positive $16,000 difference in revenue. And I'm hoping if some of that could be carried over into the playground. I don't know how all that stuff works, but in terms of revenue, we're in a really good spot with recreation. I think a lot of the changes that I implemented now that we're sort of getting back to a normal year and people being able to participate and stuff, we're heading in a good direction. Along the lines of the playground, we're planning on fundraising to obviously offset the cost of the playground. The equipment itself is about $145,000 just for the equipment. And then the company where we got the quote for the equipment, it costs about $70,000 to install that. We set a $250,000 fundraising goal, and the goal, we want to reach that by March 15th. If we don't reach that goal by March 15th, we'll look at what we have raised as well as the grant money, and then consider an alternate design for a playground. And that's kind of where we're at.
Do you think the company would like do a discount like in the labor? No, like they send like just one guy, and then we're a town of like carpenters, tradespeople.
So I was looking
That like if our community helps out, like could that drop to 70? That
I was
paying
looking at-
something, but
I was looking at different ways towns have done it. I mean, typically you can't have volunteers, but there is also the possibility that you hire people temporarily and you pay them a salary of $1, and then they're a town employee for the duration of the project. I'm not sure if that's something We would want to
Have
look
you
at
done
how
something
that
like that
works
before?
out.
Didn't Red Hook build their,
It's
Red Hook
a
built their
process.
playground.
I have a memo on that, on utilizing, I can get that on to you.
oh, that'd be great.
Cause I mean, I think it may be like work for you, but it could like, you know, if it's that
Well, I
much
mean, it's
money.
70,000.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I got you.
That was my
$70.
thought was, this is a town of people who can do anything.
And there are a lot of people that I spoke to that are planning on donating to it that also have access to heavy machinery, who know how to do that stuff. And so that's kind of what we're working on. My committee members have a bunch of different ideas for fundraisers. Some examples are doing like a holiday craft event where we'd make gingerbread houses and it costs a certain amount for the kit. And people can come and do that with their kids, different things like that. As well as other events and just getting the word out to people.
I had another thought. I reached out to Greg Pulver about whether we qualify for a CDBG grant because it's an ADA accessible playground.
Mhm.
He thinks we do. So the town does not qualify for CDBG. We don't have a low enough median income. So, but you can qualify when your project targets a section of people who are considered at risk or like ADA
Prioritized group.
a prioritized group. So we should get together
Yeah,
because I could apply for that grant, but I have to write a letter of interest by November.
and that's partially why we selected that program design, is because it's accessible to everybody. And
Yeah.
as most of you are aware, I really care about making sure everything we do is scalable to people of any level. And I mean, that's also why we wrote the grant for the accessible wheelchairs for hiking programs, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So in addition to it being something that I care about, it's also hopefully a way we can get our foot in the
Mike,
door for other
the
people.
other criteria for the grant though is going to be the surface you put the playground on
Yes,
and the access from wherever you park
yep.
to the,
And that is why, even though the equipment is 140,000 and the cost of labor as it stands with that one person we got the quote for the equipment from is 70,000, our fundraising goal is 20,000 above that for potential overages in terms of the equipment. We looked at what I believe East Fishkill did for their playground in terms of a surface. And so like I'm looking at those different things. And also the playground itself, in order to access the equipment, it has ramp and pathways designed on it.
right,
So,
but we have to get,
yeah, it has to be on a surface that you
But
can
it's
go from the
already
parking lot
paved,
to
it's
the
right
ramp.
there.
yeah, but it's not. The county is requiring that we make sure that there's a way to get onto the ramp. In other words, the ramp
Yeah,
just
so Matt,
can't
like,
come out into the
like
grass.
if
Yeah, but I
the
don't think that that's
playground-
an issue. We'll be able to do that. We have a ton of space and it's just a blacktop parking lot. I don't, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, it shouldn't be too complex to solve. And then on top of that is, if you do, I believe Fishkill's playground is a solid rubber surface. And so if we do a portion of the playground closest to the parking lot to provide that access there, or the entire thing.
whole thing.
So, I mean, not ideally the whole thing, but if for some reason we fell short of the $250,000 goal, but we could still pull the trigger on the playground itself, you know, then we'd look at that.
So Warren, you'll send that memo to me so we can figure this out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now, we have to set up in a proper line
We have one.
to accept the money.
Yeah, we have one. I set it up. It's actually the same rec line we've had the whole time.
And
I
that
did
will-
see a donation. in here
Capital
too, Mike.
reserve
Mhm.
fund.
I did see a donation in here
Awesome.
too.
I've been
But
so busy
also,
that I didn't even get to
You know,
check,
in
but
in
I've
my
been
opinion,
talking
I'd rather
to
not
people
have it
left.
specific
Yeah,
for
no, I saw.
the playground. I would like to have it for recreation in general.
Well,
But this is quite a pipe dream to get $250,000 together
Oh,
right
I know.
now, and I don't want it locked in by being in the playground. The other thing is that, you know, this will ensure that we don't have the misunderstanding of whether we're putting money aside each year for something. This will be a standing line that will.
we never got rid of that capital account. We never got rid of it. We used it but we didn't get rid of it, so it's still there. So Michael
Right,
said, just use that
okay,
and put the donations
But
in there.
Michael Torsia, our
Michael Torsia, our accountant.
right,
accountant,
right.
So they're when they come to Madeline, they're earmarked playground. And so
And that
she's
carries over,
keeping,
that
track.
carries over from one budget year to the other.
yeah, because it's a capital account.
Okay,
Yeah, it'll go, it won't get any interest, in other words. Because there's, the banks aren't giving any interest right now. It's gonna get 0.01 or something,
but it'll be there.
but it'll be there. And I think we have about $1,000 so far.
A little less than that, yeah.
Okay.
I'll print out an Excel sheet for the board members every month. As I get
Okay.
donations.
Well, they're coming in. The donations are coming in slow like a
Yes,
trickle.
and if anybody's watching and wants to donate, you now know, you just have to stop in here and write the check and put recreation on the memo line. The other announcement for rec programs, next week is gonna be our last weekend of flag football and wrestling, if you wanna roll. That's actually ongoing right now at the library. And you can sign up for that on Family ID, and Tuesdays and Thursdays are the practices.
Great.
That's it.
Thank you, Mike.
Warren, do you know, I mean, this might be a Michael Torsia question too, is about, well, this is just something we do at the end of the year with any extra fund balance left over to appropriate, to put it into the rec capital?
Yeah, it's supposed to put it in certain earmark it for certain capital funds.
Okay, so we could take the 5,000 from the fireworks and just say, this is what it's gonna be.
Yeah, but just double check with Torsia.
Okay, right.
Then you will have to use it for that, though, as Don noted a minute
Yeah,
ago.
once you put
You
it
might
into
not
an
want
earmarked
to
fund, you have to use it. for that.
until you
I
are
mean, if you keep it
sure
in the
that the
unexpended
project
fund balance,
is gonna happen. Yeah,
you
you
can
might
use it
not.
for anything.
Right, so.
Well, did we actually make a line for the fireworks, or is it's still in this?
No.
But yeah, so I mean, I don't, so, yeah, so then it's just, we have to wait till the end of the year. It doesn't matter, right?
We just
Yeah.
have to take that money and put it into the account.
Okay.
If we decide to do that.
If we, yes,
Otherwise, it's just.
We
in
haven't
line.
decided to do that yet.
it
I don't
just
think-
goes into fund balance if there's any left over,
Right.
actually, because you have a lot of expenses too. So that, you may have a lot of revenues, but
Well, right now, our total revenue is $2,000 less than everything I've spent year to date.
okay, well, right.
Right.
There it is.
Yeah. But my
Great.
revenues are also 16 grand higher than we anticipated.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
wonderful.
That means you overspent by 18.
No, no, I'm not going. to, but I'm saying I just brought in more to, like everything we've done is paid for itself and then some.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Nothing from the CAC and the animal control. 3 patrol or meeting hours and training hours and nothing else really. No quiet month. On to old business. So I would like to have a motion to accept the preliminary budget for 2022. You need a discussion?
No,
Motion barring any further amendments.
oh, good, because it can go down, it can't
Yeah.
go up, so I'm okay with that. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 You need a roll call on.
A roll call. Okay, Madeline?
Supervisor Cloud,
Aye.
Councilman Bartles,
Aye.
Councilwoman Jones,
Aye.
Councilman Chase,
Aye.
Councilman Zick.
Aye.
I put in your boxes a kind of like a report on our fund balance explanation. So just to clarify it, the balance sheet that we were looking at the Monday meeting contains the figure for the fund balance that was as of the end of 2020. So that figure never changes all year. It doesn't get subtracted when we use when we appropriate fund balance for something, that figure doesn't change. So that's what's confusing, is that's the audit number. So here's the audit, and if you look in here, you'll see that our fund balance was at 1.22 or something. And that does include all the bonds and the Kinzer money, everything is in there. Then our expenses are counted against that figure in the next audit. So we know that we have that money, and we know that those bonds are in there, and we've been spending money on the town park. We paid off a bond. What else did we do?
We should track that differently on our monthly report.
Well, it doesn't, it's tracked in the operating statement. If you look at the operating statement, that's where the expenditures are tracked. But it's never going to show up on where our fund balance is.
In the discussions that we have about creating a document that
We just
serves
need a
everyone at a
spreadsheet.
glance, yeah, okay.
We need a spreadsheet to just say, this is what we're doing with this money. I made a list of the things that we had already approved of, for instance. Well, first of all, we appropriated fund balance for this budget, for the 21 budget. We do that every year. We appropriate some. This year it was 124,000.
So the number at the end of 2021 is now reduced by.
Correct.
Right.
Plus reduced by the amount of the two bonds that are sitting there, if that's distracting.
Well, we only paid off one bond.
The bond,
so that's,
to me, the bonds are, again, they're in a spreadsheet. They're just something there. But what I'm interested in is that leftover money.
there is no leftover money. In other words, we appropriated it all.
There's no unexpended lines from this calendar year that we're anticipating.
There are probably not going to be
There
any.
should be, but what we have is we have leftover money
Well, we have
plus bonds.
6 months of safety emergency money.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
we need.
I
to
agree
guard.
with that. I agree that we need.
we did that by resolution, saying that that's how much we would keep in there.
Yes.
But we don't know that that's how much is in there.
Well, we're guarding that. We're not,
Regarding
we
from,
don't want to spend more than that.
right, but we don't know what we've got.
Well,
At the end of 2021, or end of 2020, we had a certain amount of money that was left over
Yeah.
from the budget, the 2020 budget. Okay, then we took, in order for the 2021 budget,
Mhm.
we took a certain amount away from that.
Right.
Okay, so that's one set of column of numbers.
Yeah.
And then what the bonds are doing and what the Kinzer money is doing is off to the side.
Right.
So, what I'm interested in is how much is left over, what were the leftovers minus what we appropriated from it?
Okay, I can add that up for you right now.
So you just want to know how far off our budget was.
No,
No,
I
their
want to know
budget
how
wasn't
much
off.
money we have in the savings account.
Excluding the Kinzer money and the
Right,
bonds.
yes.
But you can't, well, okay. You you can't exclude those things because we paid one of the bonds. So that's gone out of there.
But I'm not interested in what the bonds are doing.
Okay,
I'm only interested in what was left over from the previous year minus what was.
all right. Well, Michael's trying to run that for us,
Thank you.
but I doubt that there will be anything left over because we appropriate money every year to pay, to
Well, hopefully.
run the
we'll-
budget.
But we appropriate money because we are short on our budgeting, but there's gonna be a number of unexpended lines too. So even though
They're
we're,
not gonna make up $124,000.
that's probably true, but even though.
But
we're
you've already
spreading
taken it out.
some-
You've already taken the money
Hmm,
from that. I
Well,
mean, there
there's-
should be somewhere between $500,000 and $800,000.
Mhm.
That is just our quote savings account
Correct, there's,
that we've accumulated over the years.
correct,
And that's the number I just was curious to see.
yeah, all right, well, he's running that,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I asked.
no, we're in good shape. All right. We just did it, we had it
Oh,
before you came in.
okay.
We had it tonight.
That was it.
It was short.
Wild.
If you blinked, you might have missed it.
Oh, the establishment of the town beautification committee is up next on the new business.
Thought we had a town beautification committee.
Well, it's an ad hoc committee. to
Oh,
create,
okay.
That was for the park. It was
the
set
park.
up for the park. And it seems like there is an ongoing need for such a committee.
Can we just keep the same committee we got?
Well, we'd have to ask the members, two of whom are here, if they want to stay on. Oh, and
there's
three
lots.
members.
Oh,
I didn't even
there's-
see you there.
Is this a working committee or an advisory committee?
Well, what do you,
The dirty hands or clean hands? It's not-
Dirty hands. Well, I got
Dirty
my
hands or
dirty
clean
in the Smart
hands?
project. I guess we would be an advisory committee. I mean.
Clean hands, Don.
Clean
Clean hands, clean hands.
No, it's not.
Oh,
That's not
oh.
what we originally were asking for. We would, originally were asking for a group of volunteers who would stay on or join us on the committee that's already there. There are so many things in town. You talk about revitalizing the town and cleaning up the town. You just walk around, you look at our parking lot. You look at the sidewalks in front of
Right.
Peck's, the platter, all over. There's so much work around our signs.
Yeah.
Our signs around our signs are terrible. There's a lot that the garden club would like to do, but there's not enough of us. And
Well, maybe we could,
so we would originally, the letter that was sent to you was to ask you to make this a permanent committee that could be, work with Bobby Lee, be on that part of the line, give him, I know there is a line for the flowers that we do already.
Mhm.
And for the barrels, I know it's a small line.
It is.
If we could just add a few $1,000s to that with this committee, with some part of maybe the highway department helping us ripping up the planters and things like that around the signs. You know, between that, between volunteers, different people in town have already said, sure, we'll come help you, you know?
Maybe we could set up 2 days.
If we could just have a little bit more money in that line. That's really all we're asking for.
But if we have volunteers,
But workers,
2 days a year.
well, what if we try to hook up with the high school for the kids, seniors have to do X amount of community service per, like quarter, I think.
I'll
I
tell you
mean-
who's very good and who has been very helpful is Stephanie for the FFA. She helps us with the barrels. You know, anytime we ask her to help, she brings the kids. And which is great for them, you know, and for us.
Yeah, no, but I think, you know, like if we could use the school though, like to do that though as well with other senior kids who need to do the community service and you guys know what you want to do, but you know, like just need the help to
Right.
do it.
But we need the standing committee to.
No, and I'm okay with that. Like I was gonna just say we keep the committee the same, but if do you have extra people that you know that want to join?
Yeah, there are people who've expressed their interest.
Okay.
in joining
So all we have to do
That
really.
I don't know, and I don't know.
Well, I think we should definitely have a continued standing committee and we can figure out the membership as we go along. And then, but we haven't budgeted more in our budget that we just passed.
We have a budget, we have money in the buildings and grounds,
Okay.
so we could technically use that,
Okay.
but
All
we
right,
can
but
figure that
I think
out.
the first thing is to
Create,
acknowledge that we go, create a committee.
I'll second. Are you?
Yes, I will move that.
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great.
Thank you so much.
That's
great.
wonderful, and if we can just figure out what. the
Are you
next
open
steps
to the
are.
seniors if I call the school and ask them if this is like a possibility? Because you just have to sign a sheet,
I think we need to talk a lot more about this committee and what we expect
Yeah.
from them
Oh,
and
okay.
what authority or responsibilities they have.
Sure,
So, yeah,
The
you know,
committee
We need
will
to-
have to hammer the board on budget season,
right.
hammer them hard.
Because you're going on.
Thanks, Rory.
Hammer 'em hard.
Might have a volunteer right here.
But we could have a meeting, workshop. Maybe you guys can come to the workshop and we can figure that
That's
out.
a good idea.
Excellent.
Okay. I'll put that down. I have so many things to do in workshop. Thank you.
And the park looks great.
I think it does too.
It's getting there.
Sarah loves the blue water. She goes, Daddy, why is it so blue? I go, I don't know.
It's the blue bombers.
Santa Claus.
That, just to take, the pergola arrives by Kit.
Yeah, it's there.
It's there? Oh, it got here?
It's behind the old library building.
Oh,
It's wrapped very
Distracting
nicely.
myself.
And supposedly they're gonna start as soon as they find the mason.
okay. They need a mason.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they'll build that.
Mhm.
And then are there permissions that the DOT had to give? Are we waiting for any? Kyle Lougheed said there was the,
Right, from the moving, probably for the moving of the electrical panel. That
Oh,
part of the
okay.
work.
all right,
Yeah. But I
That's right.
think Matt Brimmer has a contractor who seems to be in control. So-
okay. All right, great. Wow.
And Kyle has talked about ideas that he has for the new tree, because it is smaller.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, being in the park, I've actually been asked, but where's the holiday tree? And I said, "Well, it's right
That's
there."
it.
But moving it being smaller, so Kyle's gonna he's gonna put all the lights that he put on the old big tree on this little tree, so it should look great. There's got.
So wear a wig.
Yeah, Sarah's got an idea about a big skirt under the tree with illuminated boxes that'll look like presents, so it should be.
Oh,
nice.
cool. Okay.
Sounds great.
Bring your sunglasses.
Great, thank you. We were gonna talk about,
Oh, hold on. And the path, just to let you know that one person did write the email about the strollers. I don't know if it needs to be like camps.
Yeah.
So
we'll
what
check.
happened to school?
I guess they were pushing a stroller through and the wheels got stuck in. That's what I don't
You
know.
guys didn't use item 4, I don't think it was, you used a different.
Is it crushed stone?
I
something.
think it's item 4.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's item 4.
They put it in.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's,
Oh, yeah.
I've walked through there every night. I'd be curious to know where that stroller got stuck.
I know. I think we just leave it the way it is for now.
Okay.
But you could.
That part of it.
I was just bringing it up because I got the email.
At any point, which is very fine, they'll fall in between the holes there to make it
Yeah.
sturdier too, so we could do more.
And it could be that this
No,
stroller,
what you
Matt,
want to do is just add the stone dust onto it.
Stone
Yeah,
dust.
just
Yeah.
Stone
Stone dust.
It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just an inch of stone dust to put onto the top and that'll firm the
So
entire.
very cheap to go through and do that,
Portland.
that
Yeah.
little bit.
It's in Portland.
Correct.
No, I'm sorry.
Really? You would?
Yeah, you can have Portland to it as well. But even the, down in, so if you go down to the Stanfordville Park, they have a walking path and it is item 4 with an inch of stone dust over the top, and that's actually held up really well.
Great.
And a lot of folks do use it with strollers, walkers,
Yeah.
things like that.
and it could be that the stroller got stuck in the original
Exactly.
thing.
That's
that
what
she
I
put
think.
down.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Because that you could not do that.
those little pea stones that, yeah, that was hard to
Yeah,
walk
that
on.
was- yeah.
All right. So we're going back to the sign issue at the basketball court. Don and I were talking about the location of the sign. The problem with the basketball court area is that people or one person or somebody has been driving on our ball fields. They create ruts, and Buildings and Grounds then tries to mow over there, and the equipment falls into the ruts, and it's not good, and it's not good for the ball fields for anybody to be driving on. So the signs went up. We've had a complaint that one of them is at the end of a driveway, and that owner does not want to look at the sign. Don came up with an idea about, well, part of the problem is parking in this area, that there isn't enough parking anyway. What if we made that area a parking space? So that's why I have this on the agenda. What do you think of that idea as a way to, we'd take the sign down, but we'd put up a parking space and then there'd be a barrier?
So unlike the rest of the rec area, there, you can't park there because the basketball courts are so close to the road, you mean, and there's the
There's
entrance.
about four car parking, five car,
Right,
half dozen cars.
So you're
There
talking
right
about
now.
expanding that.
Well, it's just that I was trying, before talking to Bobby, I was trying to find out why people were going in and out of there. And I had thought that that's where they were parking when there was an overflow of cars, which would be much better to park there than it would be to park along the road because it's such a narrow substandard road. So anyhow, but I haven't
Unsure.
got numbers or I haven't got any.
No, it's just an idea.
An
and-
idea
yeah.
of looking, and I actually was going through our zoning law to see if we had any recommendations for parking needs for something like that, and there sort of is, but, you know,
I think from
it's really up to the planning.
we've heard from there though, someone is actually driving in
Yeah.
past the ball field, so it's not like they're parking on the.
Well, they're
grass.
driving all through there, right?
Right.
Driving
But
through.
at
And
that
our sign is
spot,
not going to stop them.
Well,
the
if you-
spot
if you
that the
did make a
sign that we are
parking spot.
talking about does not look like an optimal spot to drive it because there's only 4 trees down there and you would literally have to go between 2 of them. Like where that sign is placed. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I just think you don't need to place a sign at the end of somebody's driveway that they have to look at every day. I think it's offensive and I think it was done in spite and think it should be moved.
That seems easy. I make that motion.
I'll second that
What are we making a motion
of
on?
moving the
Move the
sign.
Move the
Move that
sign. Okay, all right. So we'll move the
All in
sign.
favor?
Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm not in favor of the way we're doing it. So I will vote no on that motion.
I will vote no also.
Motion carries.
Okay,
Can I ask a question about the signs? I forgot. There are 2 other signs that were ordered with those signs of no motorized vehicles that are to be placed on the town property at the highway garage. I need guidance as to where they're supposed to go.
Anywhere you want.
No.
Well, the tire pile is
One-
gone, so we
Right,
can't put
exactly.
that
So
sign on.
one is no tire disposal, I think. I don't know exactly what the verbiage is. And the other, I believe, is just no dumping. So where do you want them?
Was it meant for the entrance?
well, the no tire disposal needs to go over by where the tires,
Or where
Get
people
left.
dump them.
They're dumping them in the dumpster now.
oh, how nice.
The guys picked out 18 tires, fortunately, before the cleanup day, so we were able to dispose of them. So people are viewing that as a dump,
As a
not a
transfer.
recycling, exactly. So that's why I'm asking, where do you want the signs? Because the tires are being dropped anyway.
The signs are,
TVs
you know,
TVs are being dropped by the single stream recycling containers. So I'm not really sure what you want to do about this.
I would store them for a while because this is a much bigger issue. And it is getting worse.
Well, I think the TVs are either aside right now or they were disposed of. We also have propane tanks that are being dropped off, despite the fact that
Right.
the big sign says, what
No,
you cannot bring.
Do we have cameras down there?
We do not, I have mentioned that many times.
I mean, I think it's now time to get cameras. If people are dropping all these things in there.
You can try it.
I mean, do you guys have one that we could borrow? I mean, you caught a beaver.
No, we don't have,
Beaver traps right
You need different cameras than those.
We need those
run
cameras
for
down
20
there.
seconds at a clip, and then they shut off for like 15 seconds, so once it notices once you've got any kind of movement, it turns on for 15 or 20 seconds. And then, once that's over with, it shuts off. So if somebody walks in there and they can get rid of whatever they have to get in that 15 or 20 second window, you're gonna miss them. So they sell cameras, I want to say they sell cameras as like a Home Depot or Lowe's. I can't remember the name of it, but they're wireless cameras. They're all high definition. They're like, I think $40 per camera. You're going to have to change the batteries in them. like every month or so, but it gets downloaded to, I think the cost is like under $200 a year for the cloud. Yeah.
Is that a side project we can have our police do?
Get on the internet with it. It's, they're.
The hunting
cameras
down
are
of the
wonderful.
people.
And they're waterproof too.
Is that something that you guys can take on, like in helping us install and watching them?
Absolutely. $1,000 an hour.
Can you? Can you,
No, we can absolutely do that.
can you prosecute on or follow up on that camera evidence?
Oh, absolutely.
You could do that.
Yeah, if you put a sign, if you put a sign there, you know,
They're
considered lettering.
They are high definition. Like, I mean, there's no mistaking who it would be. It's not, they're not grainy pictures whatsoever. I want to say it's like,
I use this system.
Can you get us like a few recommendations of something that you would like to work with? You know what I mean? Like it being on the cloud and all that? And us-
remember how we were talking last year as far as the wrinkle, that this is things, these are cameras that can all link together. You could have.
You're the
you could have
professional in this
entire-
situation. I'm not. So, you know, could just put a few things, right?
You
And
could have the entire town.
no, we don't need the entire town. I don't want
That's what
the
I'm
entire
afraid
town.
of.
But I definitely want tires. Tires. I want tires.
On the beavers.
I'm sick of surveillance. I think it's a terrible idea.
We already have something similar, and it was before my time that it was installed, but at the beach house, there is the security cameras. It requires Wi-Fi access, so, I mean, the highway garage, I assume you have internet there.
Yeah, you just have to make sure that the distance is acceptable.
Exactly, and so
You're probably
you
too
could
far.
probably look
The garage
back and
might be-
see what system we have, because unfortunately, those cameras couldn't pick up the beaver, which is why they put the trail cam out. But we do have cameras that can monitor traffic coming in. The systems are out there and it's worth it.
I definitely think that the time has come to put some cameras
At the dump,
at the dump to discourage people. And if we get a couple of prosecutions, that's very useful, actually. Because people then may think twice about it.
We could put up Polaroid pictures of jumping TVs.
That's Vinny's number one complaint is getting.
We
left
can
of
make a
land.
Vinny wall of shame. Vinny's putting your picture on the wall of shame.
Do you want those signs put up?
I think he said just hold on to him for a little bit until we figure this out, right?
You know, I think we need.
Then
There
you
is
gotta make a sign of everything you don't want dumped and put on that sign, you will be prosecuted.
Yes.
Well,
Right.
that's a
If you are
good thing,
dumping.
because the sign that we have that states what you cannot dump has
Right.
been hit and it needs to be replaced
Yeah.
anyway. We also, I have one on the salt shed. There is another sign that can be put up there that says the premises is monitored by video surveillance. That can go out there as well.
That'd be great.
Deterrent.
And then the people we catch will give to the beautification.
I love that now. All right, now I'm for it. Excellent. All right, we'll look into the cameras. Mike and I will work on that. I would love to set the sewer feasibility study public meeting. Aaron Moore at Ty and Bond is ready to go. And we need to present the findings to the public at, I'm assuming the community center would be the perfect spot. I was thinking November 15th, because that is our next workshop meeting. And we could do it at the community center. And as I said, they're ready to go. It's a good date for them.
Okay.
Is that okay?
That's good. Okay.
Okay, great. So-
7.
November 15th.
Time, 7 o'clock.
7, I think we should do it at 7. Yeah, we'll do it November 15th. And then I screwed up the typing of this CDBG grant. I just wanted to affirm that you guys, I have your approval to go for that for the playground.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I will be writing that letter. And that is all I have. The next thing to do would be to move to go into executive session to discuss the Hicks Hill stabilization effort and the new culvert and anything else that's either legal or dealing with personnel.
I move that we do that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are we gonna make any decisions?
Are we making any decisions tonight?
Madeline, stay or go?
Nothing is required, I think,
Okay, then,
I make a motion that we come out of executive. Oh, you guys struggled with this one, not me being here. I watched the meeting.
you're the one.
I make a motion that we come out of executive session,
This is your job, Matt.
and then I make a Sarah, one of those guys, and then I make a motion to adjourn.
I second that.
All in favor? Aye.
I was watching, John. I saw when
Good
this
night,
all
everybody.
came out.